Trump, brushing aside separation of church and state, establishes Religious Liberty Commission. We're bringing religion back to our country, and it's a big deal. If you eat aspic, you don't have to take medications anymore. New presidential executive order says federal government recognizes two sexes only.
Wait! When did America become a super church?
Well, even though we're told the First Amendment ensures the separation of church and state, a Christian hegemony has been lying in wait. With new leadership in the White House, well, you may not be into Christianity, but it's about to be all over you. I'm Sarah Kay.
I'm Joanna V. And we're two childhood friends, fallen Catholics, that reconnected in the same teeny hometown where we both went to the same church before running for the hills. I mean, venturing out into the wider world.
Destiny put a copy of a classic feminist text in our hands right when we were searching for a port in this political storm.
Over 130 years ago, feminist Elizabeth Cady Stanton worked with a group of whip-smart women to create the Woman's Bible, a feminist perspective. Stanton had spent decades advocating for abolition and women's suffrage before she concluded that women would never be free until the issue of patriarchy in the Bible was addressed.
Biting All the Apples resurrects this historic book, filled with wit and intelligence that would stand up against the bestsellers of today. One chapter and one episode at a time, we uncover precious evidence that this is not the first time women have gone up against religion as a form of oppression.
The Women's Bible is not the definitive answer, but it sure does give us a framework to understand how the Bible informed gender-biased ideas on important things like
original sin.
And then he just whines to God saying, Eve made him eat it. I'm like, this is the 1800s. This is so great.
Because he sells Eve out. And I love here too, they're like, Adam, he's just silent on the crisis of their fate. It takes 6 verses to describe the fall of the woman, and the fall of the man is contemptuously dismissed in a line and a half. So they're like, who's the real hero?
Pregnancy and childbirth.
It says it's clearly shown that childbearing was not considered a sacred office and that the offerings to the Lord were necessary for the purification, So they're like, ooh, that dirty thing is happening. A baby's coming in. And you'd have to do double time if it was a daughter being born because, you're giving birth to someone else that's going to be messy. That's how I read it.
Do double time what? Double time cleaning?
You have to give offerings, those lambs. That's what I'm saying. You got to sacrifice things.
2 lambs, 1 girl?
2 lambs, 1 girl, 1 lamb, a boy.
Marriage.
All the sin and misery resulting from their marriages were all attributed to the women. I mean, can you just pretend that you're a guy for a minute and you're like, yes, I like that. Nothing is my fault. It says it right here in the word of the God.
Identity.
And after a few hundred years, they filled the land with people, 70. But Elizabeth says in there, maybe it was more than 70. They just didn't count women as people.
Right. She's like, it wasn't uncommon because women don't have souls. And she talks about that in her response. And I have the quote here. It says, we find at many points that the Bible does not reckon women as souls. And she's talking about the 70 souls from the loins of Jacob. She goes, if so, the phraseology would have been more in harmony with the idea if the 70 souls had emanated Minerva-like from the brain of Father Jacob rather than from his loins.
Yeah.
From the brain of Father Jacob.
He thought him and they just shot out of some woman somewhere.
Yeah.
And we don't need to know her name.
Property.
Steal jewels of silver and jewels of gold to put them upon your sons. So this is about freeing the Israelites using the jewels and silvers, and all the
making the ladies steal all that
fancy stuff. And the ladies were like, yeah, we'll do it because we do what's right.
We got to do what we're told.
And Stanton does write about how this was also, she said, this is a position that some of our good abolitionists took. These are her words, when Africans were escaping from American bondage, that the slaves had the right to seize horses, boats, anything to help them to Canada, to find safety in the shadow.
Because they needed to get out.
Because they needed to get out.
Laws.
The woman is scourged. The man presents the priest with a ram and is forgiven.
Yeah.
And she just points out.
Same offense, like whatever you do. A man can get off by just handing over a dead animal. Well, not dead. They got to kill it.
Right.
Women, scourged for life.
Scourged for life.
Taxes.
The Mosaic Code is responsible for the religious customs of our own day and generation. Church property all over this broad land is exempt from taxation, while the smallest house and lot of every poor widow is taxed at its full value. Our Levites, priests, have their homes free and good salaries from the funds principally contributed to by women. So,
for preaching denunciatory sermons on women in their sphere. And as a bonus, you'll learn some old-timey phrases to add to your vocabulary, like fabulist.
I had to look up this word because she said, the sacred fabulist. Do you know what a fabulist is?
Guess what? Yes.
It's a liar.
I love that.
I'm like, oh, I'm going to use that more often.
I know, fabulous.
You sacred fabulist.
For a second, I got it confused with a fascinator, which is a small kind of topper hat.
And you'll get some insight into the issues irking the feminists of the Victorian times that seem pretty darn similar to us today. But Elizabeth Cady Stanton said, when the rights of property were secured to married women in the state of New York in 1848, and by the way, I know that she felt that to her core because she fought for those rights, right? It was her and Susan B. Anthony.
Oh, I do love this. You can read
and the
this
ladies,
whole thing.
right?
Yeah,
yes.
Oh, this is so good.
So she said, when that happened, when you got the rights, women got the rights in 1848, a certain class of women were opposed to the measure and would cross the street to avoid speaking to the sisters who had prayed and petitioned for its success. They did not, however, in due time, to use the property thus secured from the law that the women that fought for and passed. So they were like, oh, I didn't want that. But then once they were like, well, it's the law.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't join you. I didn't support you. But, now it's the law. And she said, the same type of woman will as readily avail themselves of all the advantages of political equality when the right of suffrage is secured.
Guess what, Elizabeth? You were so right. You were so right. It's fun, it's interesting, it's historical, and it's relevant. The only things missing are your ears.
New episodes of Biting All the Apples come out every Friday. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on your favorite podcast player.